This is the Cryptid Creature Show. I am Brian, and with me, as always, is my co-host Todd. What's up, buddy?
Tonight's guest is TJ, and TJ does a podcast with his buddy Josh. It's called Out There, a Cryptid Podcast. But TJ's also had a lot of weird paranormal experiences and strange things that's gone on, and he's going to come on tonight and tell us about those things.
I like paranormal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be fun.
Let's not waste any more time. Are you ready to bring TJ on?
Let's get him.
TJ, welcome to the show, man. Thanks for being here with us tonight.
Thank you.
We know we've been emailing back and forth a little bit. You want to talk about, before we get into your experiences, do you want to talk about your podcast, Out There, a Cryptid Podcast? Is that what it's called?
Yes, it is.
All right.
So, Out There Cryptid Podcast was started by our other host. His name's Josh. He's our main guy. He runs our main feed. He's covering cryptids, the unexplained, the paranormal, all the supernatural stuff that science can't explain. We try to put our own, explanations into it and give the stories and the folklore behind all of it. We've recently expanded onto Patreon with other shows, and we've got I host After Dark, which is a more Reddit, like true story based kind of campfire tale show. And here soon we'll be expanding into reacting to paranormal and supernatural footage, but that'll also be Patreon. So for main stuff, we cover, your basic Jersey Devil, your Mothman, all those, but we're expanding into, I think, some upcoming ones. We have Night Marchers, the Butler Gargoyle, I think's releasing in a couple days. So we've gotten into more niche things here recently.
Cool. So you guys are on Spotify and all that stuff, right?
Apple Podcasts, wherever you can listen to podcasts.
Okay, cool. I'm going to check you guys out. I'm looking for some new stuff to listen to. So,
all right. We just got all of our episodes put on YouTube as well.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So how long you guys been doing that for?
I joined just 2 years ago. I think Josh has been doing it since 2020. So I think this year will be his 6 years.
Okay, cool. Awesome. All right. Well, why don't we talk about some of the experiences you had and what got you into this paranormal world that you're in?
So initially I got into it from my grandpa because he would watch a lot of National Geographic. So he'd always have some alien show or paranormal show on, and that always piqued my interest. But my first experience that I would say I had with the paranormal was when I was very young. I don't know how young. It was the second house we'd ever lived at, and I was just playing outside we had like a stone wall that kind of ran along our driveway, and I was standing on top of that just playing around, and I heard this really strange like dark disembodied voice like say my name. And I looked around thinking like it was our neighbors, because I had some older neighbors who were friends with me, and I thought they were messing with me. They weren't outside. Didn't see them anywhere. I asked like out loud for my mom or dad, and neither of them answered. So freaked out, I ran inside. My mom was in the kitchen. I ran into her. I like grabbed her leg. I was like, can you run outside and see if there was anyone out there? No one. And I told her what was going on. And to this day, she still thinks I'm crazy. But that's it's the first one that scarred me. But at the same house, I always feared that there was a spirit of some sort that would travel between my closet and our basement, because I would always hear things, and my room was right at the top of the basement stairs. So I would always hear things going like up and down. After that, there was many years where we didn't really have anything, but eventually me, my brother, and my mom, we moved in with our grandparents where they live now, and their home is just adjacent to a cemetery. And at this house, my entire family has had things happen. Over the years, it's been mainly hearing things like something like drop or something. We've had like shower rods fall out of nowhere. We've had stuff fall off shelves. Me and my mom both have lived in the basement of the house, like on our own, and we've both felt that there's an entity. She says it's a little boy, but I, at least when I was younger, felt like it was an older man that is in this corner of the basement where the second bedroom, the bathroom, and the laundry room sits. But we can't agree on what we think it is. She says she's seen it. I've only felt it and heard it. But she says that she's seen an apparition of a little boy down there, and that it'll kind of come and go as it pleases. And I think she says she's traveled over to that cemetery and there's one child buried over there, but I may be wrong with that. Activity started picking up when my grandpa passed, I believe in 2024. And right after that, like within a month or two, we started my grandma and my mother, they both started hearing footsteps walking on the middle floor, which is the only floor he was ever at. They never really heard footsteps on that floor before. Right when he passed, just constant, like every night. There's a windowsill that my mom has with a bunch of her work binders and all that on it. And it leads to like just a window for like ground level. So she's never had anything fall off of it prior, ever. And about a month after my grandpa passed, she's had one binder. I believe it's a binder or a book, but she has the same one that would fly off. And it's happened about 4 or 5 times now. My grandpa had a shed built on the front yard of that house. And temporarily my office was out there. And when it was, this is the most recent thing that's happened to me. I was working on a project at the time, and I had this feeling to like turn around because I think I heard the dog outside or something, but I turned around and there was a window like right behind me. And when I looked at it, I swear I saw a hand reach through the window and brush the back of the curtain. Like I saw the darkness of the hand. I saw each finger indent the fabric. And I froze completely. Immediately I was like, okay, well, the window's cracked or something, and I'll run outside. My brother's probably got the dog out. Peek outside. No, it's just the dog. Whoever let the dog out had already gone back inside. Window was closed completely. There was no draft, no nothing. Couldn't figure out where the shadow came from. Couldn't figure out any of that. So I didn't go back in that. I finished the work for the day. I didn't go back in the shed for another day or two. That freaked me out pretty bad. And then me and the last partner I had, we had a house together, and we were sitting on the couch watching a show. And from where we were sitting, there was a door leading on the left, leading straight to the kitchen. And I'd watched one of our cupboards that was completely, I think it was open, and it slowly closed. And it's not one of those that can just close on its own. They have the harder hinges where when it gets fully opened, you have to put force on it to close it. And I watched the whole thing completely close slowly. So somewhat as if someone were controlling it, and couldn't figure out what was going on there. In that same house, we had a concrete back room where if someone walked on it barefoot, you could hear their feet slapping it because of the concrete. And when we first moved in, for about the first 2 months, I believe us and our roommate heard footsteps going, walking back there constantly, barefoot. Oh gosh, I think that may be it. I've got a lot of paranormal stuff that's happened to me. Not much cryptid.
Yeah, why do you think that is, TJ?
I don't know. I've always felt, and I don't know if this is just a childhood thing that's followed me, but when you're a child, you always have your imaginary friend or whatever. But I always, and it could be growing up in a religious household, felt like I had an angel following me. But now I feel like it's not so much like maybe an angel, but I feel like there's something that maybe follows me around, because I'll catch myself like, being alone for hours on end and I'm just talking to myself, but it doesn't really feel like I'm talking to myself. And it's most of the time I just feel like there's always like someone watching me, or something like that. And it's just followed me from childhood. And I don't know what it could be.
Have you ever, I mean, we've talked about this before many times on this show. Have you ever been injured severely? Ever had a near death experience? Ever had a scare to where you thought?
I don't believe so.
Sometimes that we've found talking to people, sometimes that opens them up to being more receptive to that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe you're just one of those lucky people that are sensitive to it.
Maybe, or something. It's strange to be in a situation where like paranormal things happen, but I can't see anything. Right? I'm not that kind of sensitive, so it's I don't know.
So have these always happened in the same area? Have you lived in the same area all of your life since you started? Have you moved around at all, and these things have followed you, or these events, or has it been in the same?
I've lived in the same part of my state my entire life, like between the same like 3 towns.
Okay.
So, but in every single one of those towns, something's happened.
Sounds like you got someone from your past, or someone that you know, or maybe a past loved one following you around. You don't think that it's dangerous? You don't feel threatened by the entity or what the happenings, do you?
No, I've never felt threatened, other than that very first experience where I felt like something like dark had said my name. Other than that, no. But I do feel like in my dreams, like I may get visited from spirits. After my first grandfather passed, we had all those weird things happening around the house. And one night I was just like sitting there with my partner, and I was just like in tears, like still grieving over it. This was a few months after. I was still grieving over it. And I'd thought to myself, like, with all the weird things going on, like he's still here. He's attached to this earth. And I'm like, whether it's because he's holding on to something or one of us is holding on to him, like I felt like in my head I started saying it's okay, like you can go. And it gave me some good closure for that moment, and it got me to sleep. But when I fell asleep that night, I had a dream where I was kind of in this like mist in just the middle of nowhere. It was like this blue mist, and I was just kind of standing there alone. And then my grandpa walked out of it. All he did was he walked out, gave me the biggest hug, and then disappeared in my arms. And after that, all the paranormal things in that house didn't stop, but they significantly lessened. So I don't know if that's gonna.
Yeah, very interesting. I mean, maybe it is your grandfather looking out for you. Who knows? What do you think about the hand, though? The disembodied hand. That's kind of weird, right?
Oh, yeah, that was weird. For a while, I was wondering if that was him, because it was his shed. So I don't know if it was him or if it's the kind of shadow entity that me and my mom have both felt and seen, or what. Because we don't know how many possible entities are in the house, considering that there's a cemetery right next to it. It's not a big one. It's a privately owned one. So there's maybe between 20 and 30 people who were buried there. But it's very strange that, at least in my mom's case, where she's seeing the apparition of a kid and there being one child buried in that cemetery, it's always made me wonder how many spirits are either using the house as their new home or traveling between our house and somewhere else.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But here's a big one you need to hear. Billions. That's the amount of money in refunds the IRS has flagged for possible identity fraud. Now here's another big number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. One last big number. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit lifelock.com/podcast for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.
Have you ever thought about having a medium or something like that come out and take a reading on the house?
We've considered it. Me and my mom have, at least. We'd have to ask my grandma about it, though, 'cause she's much more religious than we are. So I don't know if she'd believe in having like a medium or a psychic come out and telling us what's going on. But me and my mom have talked about it, and I think it'd be interesting to see, at least, and to figure out if my grandpa has moved on or is somewhere else, at least. There was one more incident after, I think it was a couple days after the hand, where my mom was sitting in our den, and we had this, it was like a rocking wind-up horse sitting on a shelf. And to wind it, you had to pick it completely up. It kind of had a solid rectangle base. You had to pick it up and wind the little knob on the bottom before it would go. And she was just sitting there watching a show, and it just started going off on its own. She was the only one in the house. I was out in the shed. She was the only one in the house, and it just started going off. And she calls me immediately, and she's like, "Hey, you're not inside, are you? Like, you didn't just try to freak me out with this?" I'm like, "No, I'm working. I'm working right now." And she's like, "Okay, come inside right now. I gotta show you what happened." And yeah, sure enough, it's like tucked in a corner. If anyone were to get to it, she would have seen them. Getting it wound is a hassle in of itself, because it doesn't have any like wings on the little knob for it, so it's not easy to grip. So she thinks that may have been my grandpa playing a prank on her.
Sounds like it. Sounds like it could have very well been. So what's your whole thought about the afterlife, TJ? I mean, you guys have had a lot of episodes, I guess, on your show talking about this stuff. What's your whole philosophy, if you have one on that?
That's a good question. I come from a Baptist background, and there was a while, I believe, after it was either my senior year or right after I'd gotten out of high school, where I'd left the faith for a little bit. But after about a year, I found my way back, and I realized what my like issues were with it. It wasn't the faith itself; it was like other factors around it. So I came back into Christianity without having the views and all that filtered through a like preset like thing with like Baptist or Pentecostal or anything like that. So I was able to go through and like study on my own, and my beliefs on it change constantly, because I'm constantly getting new information. But currently, I believe that when we die, there is a heaven, there is a hell, but I don't believe it's like a fire and brimstone hell. I believe it's more of just you cease to exist. Like it's more of like the atheist belief of when you pass, you just pass, and that's it. And I think that's what hell is. I think with that, you just pass. With heaven, I don't have any specific thoughts on what it could be. I don't know if it's will go to another like golden realm, or if it's, everyone will be brought back to this earth, like in the end times or what. But I've had an issue with the thought of purgatory, but I don't believe that purgatory is where you kind of atone for your sins. I think purgatory is just kind of like a waiting room almost, and that's where a lot of spirits maybe come from. I was listening to another show recently where it said in like Revelations or something, it talks about how everyone who passes, they don't go to heaven or hell until like the end. So I've recently been wondering if everyone who's passed is currently a spirit and is in kind of that purgatory, but only some are able to kind of interact with our world, either through connections or whether it's the thought of unfinished business or all those normal things that people have thought keep spirits connected to our world. I think that could give them a stronger way to show themselves and kind of stick around. But I think potentially everyone who's passed is like a spirit that we could interact with. Some just don't have the capacity.
Yeah, we're getting good and deep here on the Cryptid Creature Show talking about this stuff, and I love it. I really do. I've always wondered that myself. What happens? Is there a waiting time? Do you automatically go to heaven or go to a hell if there is a hell? I've been watching some of those shows lately about people who've passed on and come back, and they talk about what they've seen, and it really is eye-opening. I gotta tell you, it's eye-opening, and it makes you think a lot about things in general, because they say like a lot of the same things, and they talk about a lot of the same things and how they feel when they come out of their bodies and looking down on their bodies in the waiting room or the emergency room, and they're laying there, seeing their body dead, basically, and all of them say the same thing. They don't want, once they have a decision to make, but they don't want to go back. Once they've gotten out of that outer body experience and they feel that, and they're in that realm of that spiritual realm, they don't want to go back to the physical realm. Most of them say that. Even the lady who, she had a couple kids, she was giving birth to twins and passed away on their giving birth, and she remembers saying to God or whoever was talking to her, she didn't want to go back. And they're like, no, you have to go back. You're going back because you have to raise these kids. This incident that happened on the operation table, whatever, she was having a C-section. But so crazy that these stories, you hear about that stuff. But it makes you wonder, are these spirits roaming around their interim realm? Because we know we're having interaction with these things. We're seeing ghosts or entities, or we're having things flying off shelves and weird things happening that's not explainable. So it makes you wonder that kind of stuff,
Yeah. One thing that I found interesting doing paranormal stuff for our shows, there was a while on our feed, I believe it was over the last 2 years, we kind of split our main feed into three, and we had cryptids, paranormal, and unexplained. And I was in charge of our paranormal episodes. And it's interesting researching these places that are famous for being haunted, because at least through my research, quite a few of them, they don't. There's not as much evidence as they say there is. I'm trying to think of an example. Salem, Massachusetts. It's the Halloween capital. It's super haunted. But when I was researching it, there wasn't a large amount of evidence that I could fine. There was a lot of folklore and stories around it, but nothing that was extremely credible or verifiable. So it's very interesting to see what could cause spirits to kind of hang around. Because I've done an episode on Gettysburg, and a lot of that seems very verifiable. And with that being a large area with a lot of emotion and tragedy, that would make sense. But some places, I can't think of another one off the top of my head. But Salem was one I thought of, where there's a lot of stories and a lot of specific buildings that people say is haunted. But when you look into it, it just sounds more like stories, or like someone was making it up for their business or something. Another one, the biggest one, I was going to do an episode on it, but I personally opted out, was the Winchester Mystery House. One of the most haunted places in America, it says. And when I went to do my research, it was not it for me, because I found out it was bought out by a guy who was doing amusement parks, and that he started doing like renovations to it, and that's when all the stories started coming out about it being haunted, and it didn't make sense from a historical, like, certifiable standpoint. But the idea of those spirits being around is interesting, and it's just interesting to see what places through research, what places do end up having those connections and that emotion to tie spirits here, and which ones they say they do and might, but it's not as verifiable.
So what's one of the craziest episodes you remember you guys having and talking to someone, what they experienced with this kind of paranormal stuff? I personally don't know. Every Weird Club we've had previously, and Weird Clubs are kind of show where we talk to other people who've had experiences and all that. Josh has always hosted those, so I don't know any stories from people we've had on. But we've had some listeners who've sent in some pretty interesting stuff. Off the top of my head, I can't recall any of them. But we've got a few episodes of listeners submitted stories that are pretty good. As for a crazy thing I've covered, I believe it's my longest episode as well, was the Ammons haunting, which was, I don't remember where. It was haunting about the Ammons family. Where they'd moved into a house and creepy things immediately started happening. Like, there was a basement that connected to their kitchen. And I believe the mother and the grandmother would constantly hear footsteps go right to the door, and then they'd stop. And that went on for weeks before it started jiggling the handle. And then eventually, I believe, opened the door. But through that whole situation, there was going into it, I believed it was fake and made up. But coming out of it, there were so many people that were able to verify things that happened. I believe to this day, it is the haunting that has the most eyewitness accounts, with over 20, I believe, like 20 separate individuals. They had police who witnessed things. They had priests. They had mediums. The children witnessed things. The mother, the grandmother. They had friends and family who'd come over and witness things. It was insane, the things that would happen when you would think it was just made up for publicity. So what do you think the tie is there with the graveyards? We've heard so much stuff about, dogman encounters, where, Indian burial grounds, stuff like that. Old graveyards where like they're seeing weird creatures like that running around. Have you guys heard any of those kind of stories, and what's your thoughts about that?
I think when it comes to Indian burial grounds, especially, I believe there is a much more spiritual connection with those, and I believe it's because as people, we've kind of put that there, and it's inherently given it that energy, especially with natives, giving it this kind of ceremonial, sacred, like all the traditions that go into it. It, I believe, enhances all the energy that goes into that. So when you hear stories about dogmen or other creatures, especially at Indian burial grounds, like we just did an episode on the Beasts of Bray Road, and the history with that is that dogman was digging up grave sites at an old Indian burial ground, and I don't know why creatures of that sort would be drawn to sites like that, but there's got to be something, whether it's the energy we're putting in, or some kind of good or evil energy that we don't necessarily affect, but is kind of there with those who've passed. It would be interesting to know. And it's interesting to see that it happens more at native sites or those of great tragedy, not necessarily your run-of-the-mill cemetery or graveyard. While it still happens, it's interesting to see that big sites like the Gettysburg Cemetery and all that, with the amount of people who like passed so suddenly that they may have not realized that they had, kind of wandering like those fields in that cemetery. I'm wondering if that's why bigger cemeteries and graveyards in that sort, where it's mass, could be why those are so haunted, because it's filled with the tragedy and just the instant passing of those who may have not realized they have.
So what's your favorite cryptid?
My favorite cryptid, kind of basic. I like the Fresno Nightcrawlers. Although the Dark Watchers from California, while I don't believe in them, because I've seen it debunked quite a bit, the idea of the Dark Watchers in California is very interesting. But the Fresno Nightcrawlers has got to be the top one.
All right, tell us about the Dark Watchers.
So the Dark Watchers, it's this phenomenon where people hiking through. There's a certain mountain range. I don't even know if you could call it a full mountain range, but there's some mountains down in California that the hikers who go through it, they'll say when they're walking through, especially noon through late evening, they'll see kind of these dark, very large, tall, dark, shadowy figures that almost emanate off of the top of the hills and the mountains. And legends of those, I believe, has been around for a long time. And I've always thought it would be really cool for them to, be real. And then I heard one debunking where they attributed it to a phenomenon. I can't remember the name, but where light, like if there's someone standing on top of a mountain and sunlight hits them just right, that sunlight that's getting cast further out from them will have their silhouette shadowed in that sunlight. So it's for the most part, I think, been proven that that's what people have been seeing. But that phenomenon in of itself is very cool. But the idea of large, like, groups of dark figures watching hikers and travelers as they go up these hiking trails and mountain ranges is just very cool and creepy to me.
Yeah, I've heard of those dark watchers. The phenomenon is a Brocken Spectre.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I think it would be awesome if it was for real.
Yeah.
Because those are cool.
With a Fresno Nightcrawler, that's a weird thing. I mean, I've seen videos of that. It's like a cloudish kind of looking, two-legged with this little head kind of.
Yeah.
It's almost, gosh, I almost want to say it's like an animated kind of looking thing. But yeah.
Yeah, just a pair of walking pants.
What the heck is that?
Pretty much.
They're cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to find out one of these days what that's all about.
I mean, what is that?
That's
What's the purpose of these things? You know they're not there 24/7. They're just kind of down here for a minute walking. I don't know. Are they? What is it going on with that? I don't get it. Is that alien? Is that
my best guess would be alien, because I believe it was like two or three primary sightings, and then there's been nothing since. So if I had to guess, it was probably alien, and it was some quick visits.
Who knows? I know they're creepy.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one too. Yeah, alien.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I saw somewhere selling like the little dolls, the little legs and all that stuff at some convention we were at before. I almost got one because they're kind of different. They're kind of cool, but.
Yeah.
You want to give us the podcast names and stuff again? Let everybody know where they can find you.
You can find me and my other host Josh at Out There, a Cryptid Podcast. We're on Spotify primarily, but we're also on Apple Podcasts, any other smaller podcast platform that you use. We're probably out there too. We've recently moved to YouTube and got all of our episodes uploaded there. We've got a website, outtherecryptids.com, where we've got links to all those. We've got Instagram and TikTok. Both those handles, I believe, are Out There Cryptids. So yeah. Tune in. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're going to definitely check you guys out.
Yeah, we're definitely going to check you out.
Always looking for new stuff to listen to, for sure. So, all right, TJ, thanks for being on the show with us tonight, man. Tell Josh, we'll get in touch with him too and get you guys back on sometime and collaborate.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Out. So we appreciate it, man.
Hey, appreciate it as well. Thank you for having me.
Right on, brother.
Yeah, it's our pleasure, man. Stay in touch.
You too. Will do.
See ya.
All right.
See ya.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
On December 12th, Disney Plus invites you to go behind the scenes with Taylor Swift in an exclusive 6-episode docuseries.
I wanted to give something to the fans that they didn't expect.
The only thing left is to close the book.
The end of an era. And don't miss Taylor Swift, The Eras Tour, the final show, featuring for the first time the Tortured Poets Department. Streaming December 12th, only on Disney Plus.
Cool having TJ on tonight talking about
Yeah, it was.
those
I
experiences.
like the paranormal stuff.
I do too. It's all
Something different.
supernatural, right? You can talk about Bigfoot in the physical world and realm, or you can talk about ghosts and entities, but it's all supernatural. It's all different to us. It's not what we experience every day, and
Right.
I'm kind of excited to have something different going on, and maybe run into something like that, or have an entity.
I know.
If I can't have a Bigfoot sighting, then give me something, right?
Yeah, give me something alien, something.
Careful what we wish for, right? You never know.
Right, yeah, exactly. That's what everybody's that having these things are saying right now.
I know.
Careful what you wish for. You don't want to open that door.
Yeah. Awesome having him on. Definitely going to check out the podcast they have out there.
Yeah, it was.
Cryptid
Yep.
Podcast, and
For sure.
maybe talk to Josh down the road. So with that, my friend, awesome hanging out with you as always.
Like, yeah, man, always fun. Always learning.
Okay, let's take off. You ready?
Yep. See ya.